Today on This Is My Journey, we are looking at the part of health transformation that doesn't get spoken about enough: life after bariatric surgery. So, here in the UK, the NHS carries out around 4,500 bariatric surgeries every year, and a major study of more than 112,000 people who have had that surgery in the UK found that around 14% went on to use GLP-1 medications to help manage their long-term health. So yeah, that shows to me that transformation isn't always one straight line, and for many, it's a mix of medical treatments, lifestyle changes, and just ongoing support. And behind those numbers are real people living with real challenges, diagnoses, and victories. So let's roll the intro, and then I'll introduce you to somebody who has lived this journey in such an honest and inspiring way. Welcome to This Is My Journey, the podcast where real people share real stories of transformation, resilience, and growth. I'm Marc, and after navigating my own path through major lifestyle change, I created this space to open up honest conversations around identity, mindset, and what it really takes to evolve. So along the way, we'll also hear from professionals, from pharmacists to psychologists and fitness experts who help us make sense of the science and support behind these journeys. So whether you're just starting out, deep in the process, or you're finding your footing after big change, you are not alone. This is your place. This is my journey. Let's walk it together. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm joined by somebody very close to me, my friend Kirsty. Kirsty has been through so much in her journey. She's undergone bariatric surgery, navigated diagnoses, and continued her transformation with incredible resilience. But what inspires me most is her openness. She's never shied away from talking honestly about the hard parts, the emotional ups and downs, and just what it really feels like to live such a life-changing experience. So this conversation is about understanding not just the treatments themselves, but really the person behind them. Like, I know Kirsty, the real, raw, everyday story. So Kirsty, thank you so much for appearing here today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm
Very
so
excited to be
happy that
here.
you're here and, going to share your story with us. For those of you who don't know you yet, like I do, maybe start by telling us a little bit about yourself, what sort of led you to where you are now.
Okay, so yeah, it all started when trauma happened when I was in my early 20s, and mental health just catches up with you. At that time, I just kind of needed to concentrate on what I needed to do to get the treatment going. So I took lots of medication, got myself stable, and started university. And basically, after that, I did all my degree and everything. And then I looked at myself in the mirror. There was a time, Christmas market, everyone was excited to go down. And I was like, you know what? I can't go. I can't walk into town. And it's so embarrassing. Like even now, it gets me upset slightly because I say that every day to patients. We're social human beings. We need to be out and about. And here I am
Yeah.
lying because I knew that I couldn't walk.
Hmm.
And so from that moment, I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm absolutely where I need to be mentally. I've got a really, really good job. And now's the time to look at my body. Let's do one step at a time. And that's where it started for me. So I did have a chat with a doctor. He recommended that I go to tier 3, and that's an NHS weight loss service that they provide, and it's one-to-one appointments with a nutritionist. I learned how to eat. I didn't change everything. It's just changing little things as we go along the journey, which I found really helpful. So I wasn't changing everything. Like I said, I was just doing one little thing every week, and it just taught me how to change little bits.
Just little
So it was much
steps then, is it?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lot more manageable to do little bits, and that's what I've done throughout my
Yeah.
journey. I haven't just said, do you know what, at the end of the year I want to be whatever stone. It is not a race. This has taken me almost 3.5 years to get where I need to get to,
Yeah.
and this is one thing that I really just want to get into everyone's. We're not racing. What are we racing for?
That's amazing. So many people will be able to relate to that, especially, going down the sort of bariatric route. Tell us a little bit more about that process, basically your whole experience relating to having that bariatric surgery.
So with the NHS, you've got to reach certain criteria to get to tier 4, which is where the bariatric surgery, kind of where that ball rolls.
Yeah.
So I met all the criterias, and it was decision time. What do we do? Do we go with bariatric surgery, or will Kirsty still do what she's doing now,
Yeah.
and try to better herself? At that point, I was almost 24 stone.
Wow.
So there was a lot to go. There was a lot to go. And I knew that I needed all the help that I could get at that time. So I decided to go for the operation. And you know what? It's the best thing that I have ever done. From a bariatric surgery perspective, my surgery was successful with the amount of weight that I did lose. I lost 70% of my body weight, extra body weight, and that basically means that it's successful.
Okay.
So successful to them, but not for me. So I was stuck at 15 stone, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I was quite happy with that. But actually, I just wanted a little bit more to come off, which is where I'm at the moment. I knew that Mounjaro was coming out, and I knew I had to be 2 years post-op for me to have this Mounjaro.
Yeah.
So I did monitor it very, very closely. I reached out to a couple of pharmacies because I'm not a standard kind of patient. I'm a bit more complex.
Yeah.
So I had to reach out, found a pharmacy that really helped me and supported me, and so started the ball rolling. I literally started beginning of April last year. So I was like the first, not one of the first ones on, but I was basically like there, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
It was there. It had been up like 2 weeks, and here I am, like, yeah, I got the pen. How exciting! Because I do a lot of research, and I did know that it was coming. It was just when and what it looked like, and all the criteria. So yeah.
So obviously now that you've been taking Mounjaro, and we'll go into a little bit more detail a bit later on, but whereabouts are you now in terms of the weight? So you were saying you were 24 stone before. Where are you now?
So at this current moment, I am on the 11 stone cusp. Okay. So one day I will wake up and it will be 11 stone 1. One day I will wake up and I'll be 10 stone 13. So I don't weigh myself as much anymore because, if I wake up and I'm on that 11 stone, over the 11 stone, I'm in a bad mood, basically. That 10 stone, I'm like, yes, I've done it. But you know what? It's really, really good. And it's taught me quite a lot because we're always trying to chase that milestone. We're always trying to get down to that stone. But when you're on the cusp, it is annoying, but it's okay. It's fine. So I'm maintaining very well, which I'm very excited with.
How much have you actually lost now altogether?
So altogether, I have lost 13 stone and 8 pounds.
Wow, that is incredible. And you know what? It's something to be super, super proud of that you were able to get from that size. And I know you have had the bariatric surgery, you've went down the Mounjaro route as well. It just shows that this journey is not linear in the sense that one thing doesn't just fix you. Do you know what I mean? There could be multiple different approaches that people have to take and all that there. Kind of going back to the bariatric surgery again, how was that process for you? Like physically, you've talked about that a little bit there, and emotionally, how was that process? Was it painful? Was it like how long did it take? All that sort of stuff. And then how did you cope with that emotionally and mentally and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So the bariatric surgery was absolutely fine. Really,
Yeah.
really, the recovery was really good after that. I recovered really well. The only thing that I found really, really hard is, it sounds really weird, but just grieving food.
Yeah.
Food has been my comfort for almost 15 years. So now I don't have that comfort. I physically don't know where to go. So I've had to find other enjoyments as well. But that's one thing that I find really hard. We get a bag of Maltesers, we eat them, and then that's it, we feel guilty. I'm not gonna lie, there has been times when I did try and eat a whole bag of Maltesers, but my body physically will say no. So I do suffer sometimes with foamies and dumping, which is just symptoms that will happen when you have bariatric surgery. I still have it to this day because we just forget. We want to enjoy life, so I'm going to enjoy it, and then suddenly it will remind myself, actually, Kirsty, you shouldn't be doing that. So that absolutely fine. I've learned how to use my body and know when to stop as well. I think that's one of the big things, is knowing when to stop eating what you need to eat. But yeah, mentally, like I said, it's been hard, but it's tough love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I know I have to be kind to myself at the same time, and I know that I'm aware of my emotions with food. So that's one thing that I was really aware of when I first started this journey, and I got referred to tier 3. I actually got referred to the eating clinic as well.
Okay.
So that's something that the NHS provide. And you know what? It was really interesting. There's so much information that a lot of people are unaware of. We just go through the day.
Yeah.
If you think about Christmas, we indulge, we eat lots of food. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's someone's birthday, again, we're eating cake, we're eating loads of snacks. Like we're putting emotions with food, and that has been there for so, so long.
Yeah. It's
So
more a
that's been
social
drilled
thing,
in.
that too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think, of course we have to enjoy ourselves, but
Yeah.
there is a limit with everything.
Hmm.
And I think now fast foods are more accessible. We just, on the way home, oh, I'm just gonna have a McDonald's. I only had a McDonald's when it was my birthday.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a lot has changed. A lot has changed.
Yeah. No, totally. I suppose obviously we'll get onto the GLP-1 element, but the in terms of that surgery and where you're at now, it's been good for you in terms of living with it and all that there.
Yeah, no, I live with it really well actually.
Yeah.
I've actually really enjoyed it. So when we go out for meals, I'm now on a kids meal, which is absolutely brilliant.
I know. Well, that's why I
Um,
wanted to say to everybody about your Kitty's Nando's.
Yeah, kiddies Nando's because I won't rant, but basically all they do is put extra chips on a plate.
Yeah.
I have been to the Harvester and I said, "Oh, can I have a kid's mother? It's just the same chicken. It's just extra chips." I'm like, "I don't need extra chips, do I? Just steal one from somebody
Yeah.
else's
No.
plate." Or even just going with a starter as well.
Yeah.
That's always, I'll sometimes just go to and just have two chicken, not chicken wings, but just that portion of chicken wings.
I suppose it's portion control essentially, isn't it? And it's
Yes.
just learning to realize that you don't actually need that massive plate of whatever it is that you've just ordered.
That's it. Yeah. No,
You
I'm a
know?
big advocate of plate sizes.
Yeah.
If anyone's seen any of my previous lives that I do, I will show you the plates that are that everyone uses and a plate that I use. I could show you that if you want, but
Oh
it's
no,
up to
no.
you.
Well, I've already seen it, but yes, just for anybody, just so anybody listening, it's basically a dessert plate. Is that what you call them, or
It's 7 inches.
like a side? Yeah, like a side plate. It's something I have had to learn. Obviously, being on this journey, just with the GLP-1, that portion control is such a, you can't over feed yourself essentially, but obviously even more important for you because you've had that surgery and stuff as well. But
Mhm.
no, that's fascinating to learn all that because, for me, and I'll be honest, I probably didn't even know anything about bariatric surgery until I had actually met you and, we'd spoken about it. But yeah, like amazing. And there'll be so many people out there, listening that either are about to go through this surgery or have just been through it that will be able to, or maybe scared about starting. And, hearing what you just said will be really encouraging for them. So thank you so much for sharing that. In terms of that sort of transition then into GLP-1s and using Manjaro, obviously I know you as a person, you're such a research fiend is probably the only way I can really describe you. But like, you just love doing your reading around topics and stuff. But like, how did you come to use GLP-1s, in particular Manjaro, because obviously that's what you've used, after your surgery, and what role has that played in your life up to now?
Yeah. So I did reach out back to the surgeon that did my bariatric surgery,
Mm.
and under the NHS they can prescribe Wegovy for maintenance, but because I had been through all of that and I got discharged basically, and I couldn't go back. So the only option would be for me to pay privately for Wegovy, knowing that Monjaro was going to be coming out. Then I was like, no, I'm going to hold on to this,
Yeah,
and did lots of research. Like I said, it was really, really hard to try and find the right provider for me
yeah,
because I am a bit more of a high risk with the bariatric
yeah,
surgery.
yeah,
So I had to really ask questions and say, look, are you happy to kind of go through this with me and support me? I had to chat to my doctor as well. Again, he agreed that, yeah, no, this is perfect, Kirsty, because he knew what my goal was. And my
yeah.
goal was to not be skinny, just be a lot more healthier.
Mhm.
When I started Monjaro, my BMI was 35. So again, I was still on that cusp of, kind of being overweight,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot healthier than the overweight I was before.
Mhm.
So I really, really enjoyed that. So I've absolutely loved Monjaro. It's been a life-changing experience.
Yeah. For anybody listening, did anything surprise you about that kind of journey? Did you think you were going to lose a lot more weight being on this when you initially started it, or as in the GLP-1, you know, how did you feel going into starting Manjaro? Were you apprehensive? Were you like because I know for me, in my own personal experience, there was that initial, few days beforehand where I did my research and all that there before, and I really decided that I was going to go down this route, and then thinking, oh, I actually have this now, and I need to start this. And there was that initial fear and things like that. Did you have any of that, or were you excited? Kind of what emotions wise, like how did you feel?
Yeah, the only thing I was really apprehensive because I've already lost weight. I didn't know whether I could lose any more weight. That was the
Yeah.
question. And again, all like what else could I have done? My portion sizes are small anyway, but I knew that I was bringing in the snacking, and I was always hungry. I think hunger is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
When you have bariatric surgery, they actually cut the food hormone out, and I think once they removed it and
Oh,
you bring it back, it is 110%. So I
right.
think that's the part that I struggled with the most. Is just feeling hungry. But then the Monjaro really helped.
Helps,
It
yeah.
was a very, very slow weight loss. And I will say that as I've gone through the journey and met other people, the weight loss is a lot slower, like
Hmm.
than like Slimming World or Weight Watchers, where it just drops off. But it's not
Yeah.
maintainable.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, like it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle change.
Hmm.
You're just changing things. We're having better doing better decisions,
Hmm.
and I think that's a big thing. But yeah, I didn't expect to lose as much weight as I have,
Yeah.
and be where I am today, because I thought I was never going to be here. You see lots of other people losing half their body weight
Hmm.
and doing this and doing that, and here I am, like I'm happy, but I'm not really happy.
Hmm.
I know where I wanted to be, and that's where I'm at the moment.
Oh, that's good. And you know what? You just touched on something there, and I think it's really important for anybody that is listening. I think being on this journey, so many people are like, why have I not lost, this much weight by this date and all that there? And everybody is so different on this journey. And, you know, obviously for you, it didn't sound like for you, you were like on a countdown to get to a certain goal weight by a certain date and all that there. And I think that's the right approach to have. I'm not saying
Mm.
that having that ambition isn't good, but I definitely think some people maybe just, I think you just need to sort of take a step back and just let be what's going to be, and just be kind to yourself and this journey, and just, I suppose, take it for what it is. And nobody is the same person. Like, we're all very different genetically, and our daily routines, our the food that we eat, everything like that. So I think it's so important to be kind to yourself and not have that expectation.
So, and I think another thing is that when people stall as well,
Yeah.
it's just our body just reacting to it. It's absolutely fine. I think I've done everyone's stalls in everybody that's going to watch this podcast, but it is heart wrenching. And when we stand on the scales, like I said, one day if I'm 11 stone, I'm like, oh God. The next day I'm 10 stone, but I don't weigh every day now, which is
Yeah.
really good. I'm not obsessed. I think that's the thing. We're obsessed. We're obsessed with weighing. We're obsessed with seeing what we're eating. And once that's been drilled into us, it's hard to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, over the whole period, I don't say it's a diet anymore, and I never ever say that I'm skinny. I say I'm healthy,
Yeah.
and that is the main thing.
And you know what? You did mention that there before, and I did sort of clock you when you said it. But like you said about, I didn't want to be skinny. I just wanted to be healthy. And I think that is such an important message for people, because honestly, I think just there's so many people just have that ambition that they want to be that size zero, that just want to be, the supermodel that's walking down the runway, or whatever, and that's not realistic for the majority of us. And I think it is just about being healthy, and, you know, definitely the BMI scale in general. And that's where I don't really particularly, my view, I don't really like it, because it's not, it doesn't take into consideration, muscle mass and all that there sort of stuff. It literally just takes into consideration your weight. So yeah, I'm not really massive fan of it, but and obviously you're shaking your head there that you're not either.
No, no.
No.
My brother-in-law was like, I want to be BMI 25. I'm like, no, just be what you're happy at.
Yeah.
There's no race. And even for me now, I'm still overweight and I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think if my BMI was a lot lower, I just don't think I would look myself.
No.
But there's also some other considerations that I'm thinking about, is having plastic surgery.
Okay.
So I'm heavier than I should be. So when I have plastic surgery, I'm going to be still not, that normal 25 cusp.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Again, that's something that I've had to be mindful of, not to be that 25 and then lose the extra skin on top of that.
Yeah. In terms of like your identity now, from that point where you first had, a 24 stone, had your bariatric surgery, to where you are now, having lost, almost 14 stone, is like, how do you cope with that in your head, like that sense of identity through this journey. Like I know for me it's been such a struggle, like trying to get my head
Yeah.
thinking that I am this person now to what I was. So how have you managed to cope with that? Like have you struggled with it, or has it been
I
okay?
have struggled. Yeah, I've struggled with this so hard. I look in
Yeah.
the mirror, I don't look like me anymore.
Yeah.
I change my profile picture like every 2 days.
Yeah.
The only way that I can distinguish my old self and my new self is by side pictures. And even that, my friends and family will send them to me because I
Yeah.
just refuse to take any
Hmm.
pictures. And there's just some days when I'm just like, this isn't me. I don't see
Yeah.
me anymore.
Yeah.
Confidence wise, I'm just a whole 110% Kirsty now, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
um, well, I think there was 100% there before, but 110% now. But I think it's just the confidence as well. Like I said, I was
Yeah.
lying, saying, "Oh, I'm not very well. I can't go out." But actually, like I could. I just didn't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And just walking up and downstairs just got get me out of breath. And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't need that." But I used to be like a proper secret eater as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's one of the things. So on my own, I would just kind of go and have, a bag of Maltesers and minstrels
Yeah.
together, and no one would see me.
Yeah.
Whereas now I just have a baby size and I'm really happy with that. So,
Yeah.
but it's taking time. And I think mentally, like I said, that is the hardest part is just I don't see me anymore,
Yeah.
but I'm doing it stage by stage. So the first thing was to notice that I needed help.
Hmm.
I got help, reassessed where I was at before Monjaro, GLP-1.
Hmm.
So I assessed where I was at. Where do I want to be? I want to be where I am today. I've been on maintenance now for 8 months and I'm just doing it step by step because there's no point trying to do it all in one year.
Yeah.
Stage by stage, it's so much more healthier. And also mentally, you have to just adjust to it going forward.
Yeah. And you know what? What's so obvious in how you talk and what you're saying is how much research you've done in the background and how much you know your stuff now. And that I think that's key to, if you're going on this journey, it's really about understanding where you're going and the reasons for why you maybe are the way you are, like in terms of why you overeat and all. Like obviously for me, I do believe obesity is a chronic condition. I know we all sort of agree with that, but you know, definitely having that understanding and research behind you, just the way you're saying, at this step, at this step, at this step, it's just you know your points of where what you need to do, what you need to do to get there and achieve where you need to be. And I think, that's amazing for you on your journey and it's really inspiring to me listening, and I'm sure everybody else will be really inspired by that too, because it's a very it takes a lot, I think, to be able to view yourself from an outsider's perspective, and I think that's really what you have done. Like,
Yeah,
to be able to get yourself to each stage, you need to think like that.
yeah. I think
Um,
it's just like I said, I can't do everything all at once. And I think when you make decisions of taking a GLP-1 medication, having bariatric surgeries, or even looking and investigate, always do your research. What is right for you?
yeah,
One thing that's right for me might be not right for the next person.
yeah,
And with a lot of changes in the GLP-1, what's happening with the GLP-1s, like even swapping from one
yeah,
GLP-1 to another, you need to do your research. If
yeah,
you don't think it's right, then don't do it.
yeah,
And don't do it because everyone else is doing it either.
yeah,
It is just trying to be mindful and think, where do you want to be? What is it that you're achieving, or what do you
yeah,
want to achieve?
yeah. So, just touching on what you've said and all that there, is there any moments that you've really doubted anything that you've kind of done on this journey so far? I know you did mention there that you were happy with the bariatric surgery and it was the best thing you've ever done and all that there. In terms of your journey as a whole, is there anything you've regretted?
So the only, like I said, I do a lot of research. I knew what
Mm,
I was going to be expecting when I had the
yeah.
bariatric surgery. There is something called foamies and something called dumping. If you Google that, you will know exactly what I mean. I won't go into the gory details of
I
that.
think we could
Um,
probably gather what the dumping is, but well, I know I can, but the foamies, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
y- the only thing is you just don't know when it's going to happen. That is,
Okay,
one
right.
thing can just trigger it, and then that's it. The whole evening is ruined.
Ruined.
But like I said, I'm getting better at that. And when that first happened, I didn't really understand what it was going to feel like. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a slap in the face. I'm like, whoa, okay, I know what this feels like now. I won't eat those 2 bags of Maltesers again. But Kirsty still does it, so we haven't learnt the lesson. But I've definitely learnt it now by using like smaller portions.
Uh-huh.
And then the only other doubt that I had is when I did lose the first weight on before the GLP-1 medication,
Mm-hmm.
I was at that 15 stone, and that was it. That's it. That's the end of your bariatric surgery. That's all you can do for me. So I'm like, well, that's all I can do for myself. What's next? I have to figure that out myself. The NHS have been really, really good with all the support they've been giving me, but they just couldn't give me that Wegovy off on the tier 4
Yeah.
because I wasn't putting weight on.
Okay, yes, yes,
So
yes.
the NHS are very, very strict with their guidelines. They're not just going to give
Guidelines.
it to you. You have to have a reason to have that.
Yeah.
Not just because I want to be a little bit smaller than I am at the
Yeah,
moment. No,
yeah.
Kirsty, that's successful. So well done. And I doubted myself at that point. And before I started Monjaro, this is going to sound really, it upsets me slightly, is that I thought I'd failed a little bit. Because I didn't get to this, I didn't lose half my body weight. I just lost like 6, 7 stone, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I failed myself actually
Mhm.
because everyone else is there. Why am I not there?
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I started Monjaro, because I had to do it for myself, and it just, like I said, that at that point I was just struggling. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do.
It's sad that you have felt like that because really that's not a failure on your part, but that's just where your body has got to a point where it's got used to the quantity of food that you're able to eat and I suppose just routine and stuff like that. And it's like anything once you you're in a certain calorie deficit, it gets to a point where your body actually is able to maintain on whatever deficit you're on, and that's kind of where you are. But I get that your mind can almost play tricks on you in terms of, making you feel that way, like you've not achieved something that you set out to achieve.
Mm,
But I suppose that's where the blessing that GLP-1 has come in and Manjaro for you, and you've been able to push it that little bit further again.
yeah.
Um, so I suppose talking about them sort of sadder moments and stuff that you've experienced, like how crucial for you was it to have like a support system around you in terms of like family, friends, and I know for me being on Manjaro and on my journey, like I don't think I could have done it without the support of honestly social media and the people in the community that I have met there, and you and all our friends that we've kind of come to grow and love over the last year that we've all met each other. And I think it's been such you know you guys are such a part of my journey in terms of me achieving what I've achieved. So for you, like, who's been your sort of rock and support system on this journey?
Yeah, I think when I had the bariatric surgery, it was my family and friends. They had to adjust to not feeding me, not being the enablers. And I think that was quite hard on them as well, because they're like, you need to eat more. It's not natural to eat just like one little pizza. So for them, they found it hard for them to accept that what I was eating. But before the GLP-1, I was really lonely because there was no one really to talk to. Of course, I can find other people on social media, but it's just
Mhm.
you just don't have that connection.
Yeah,
We've all just had it done, and it's like, there you go, throw you out in the real
in
life.
the world, yeah.
Whereas with Monjaro, we've got a very good community. Like,
Mhm.
everyone is got their own different experiences as
Mhm.
well, which I find really helpful.
Yeah.
We're all in, and one thing that I really connect, even with yourself and other people that we chat to, we understand.
Yeah.
We understand that the food was. In my head, I always think this, right? There is no normal person, but
Mhm.
does other people, did they think like we used to think?
Yeah.
And I always kind of think food noise is a bit more like psychosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've had your breakfast. Oh my god, what am I going to have for lunch? I'm going to have this for lunch. Oh, do you know what? I just had a Snickers bar. I shouldn't have eaten that Snickers bar. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
I regret it. And then this is what our head is always doing.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, if somebody hadn't gone through Slimming World, if hadn't dieted, would
Yeah.
they think like that as well? And this
Mhm.
is something that I haven't got the answer for.
Yeah. That's I can totally relate to what you're saying because I feel it too. Do you know what I mean? It's I can understand what you're saying. Other people will understand what you're saying, but maybe somebody else who doesn't go through what we're experiencing or whatever, and we hear it daily, people calling you cheaters, people just walk more, exercise more, all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like all these people that are very inconsiderate and don't actually realize that this obesity in general is a chronic illness, and we do have to, we can all relate, and I definitely, I think that's where the community aspect comes into it all, and I think that's where I'm so glad that I found you and everybody else, in the community, because I think without that we'd be lost, and we might not have pursued it as long as we've been able to pursue it and keep going.
I was going to say, I think the one good thing about social media is that it's all out there now. We're not ashamed
Yeah,
of it anymore.
yeah,
Like, when I went to Slimming World, I went to Weight Watchers. We're like, oh yeah, we're just going to go in and just, not embarrassed to go, because when you're in there, you're in your little bubble. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? But to kind of take that step in, that's why they're like, oh, bring a family and friend member with you,
yeah,
because it's like a secret club.
yeah,
And you don't really want to walk around with your Weight Watchers crisps. Do you know what I mean? You just kind of look for the alternative one, because people are like, oh, you want a diet?
yeah,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
no,
Now we're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
just give it to me, And I think
yeah,
that's another good thing just in the last kind of 2 years, is that when I did the bariatric surgery, there wasn't this about, no
yeah,
one was talking about it. And now we're just like, this is what we're struggling with, this is what we're doing, this is how we change it. And it's just great that we're all just talking about it rather than
yeah.
shying away from it. The community is more public.
No, definitely, I completely agree with you. The social media element and being able to speak with people and all there is great. Obviously, it's not so great in terms of the fake information and things that go around, but I think in general, definitely, I'd have been lost without it. I probably wouldn't actually have been able to start my journey without it, because it was a lot of people on social media that I, noticed, and kind of what led me to start my journey too. So,
Mm.
um, so yeah, so I suppose just kind of starting to wrap it up, what advice would you give to somebody listening who is maybe considering bariatric surgery, starting a GLP-1 like Wegovy, Manjaro, or both?
Mm.
What advice would you give them if they were considering starting?
Definitely do some research,
Hmm.
okay? And also, it's not just changing things. You have to think where you want to be.
Yeah,
We can all go on a diet, but what are we actually wanting to achieve? For
true. Yeah,
myself, it was to be healthy. I don't want to be a size 10. I don't want to be a size 8. Don't want to do that. I just want to be healthy, and it's
yeah,
understanding what you need. Also, where is the problem? That is the main thing.
yeah, yeah.
I knew that I was secretly eating. Until you find what is causing the eating, you're never going to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah,
just need to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and it's more about awareness as well. Once you've said, you know what, I am struggling, then the help is there. You just have to find it and ask for it, instead of just kind of, oh, I want to lose like 3 stone, I'm just going to take Monjaro. Why are you eating?
hmm,
There's something that's triggering it
yeah,
potentially.
yeah,
And it's just talking as well, talking to family and friends, letting your loved one be aware, this is what I'm doing. I'm eating 2 bags of Skittles in the day. Like, just being honest, and,
yeah.
they can question you
Hmm.
rather than you question yourself. So, yes, it's a bit like a problem shared is a problem halved.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, when I talk to you, it's halving our problem, and everyone
Yeah.
else as well. It's their problem, but we're all in the same boat. And I think this is the one thing with GLP-1, is that we're actually being really honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
When we went to those groups, we weren't actually saying what our feelings were.
There's so many people that will appreciate things that you're saying there, and definitely, it'll resonate with people. I know your journey has definitely resonated with me, and I've learned things here just talking to you now that I didn't know about you, and I think it's great that we're putting this out to the world, that people is going to be able to hear your experience, and I think it's such an important message to share. Finally, what is next for Kirsty? So I know you touched on plastic surgery. Obviously, there seems to be a lot of exciting things on the periphery for you. What
Yeah.
what is next for Kirsty, and where is Kirsty going next?
So my next game plan is to basically tirade off the GLP-1 medication. That's
Hmm.
where I'm currently at the moment. And you know what, guys? It's okay to be hungry. It is okay to feel hungry.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where I'm at the moment, and it's just assessing it. Although the GLP-1 is very, very good, we have to think about the future.
yeah.
We have to think about the future. So yes, at the moment I'm titrating down, and then in about 6 months' time, I have got my plastic surgery. So
Ooh,
my plan is to be off
exciting.
Monjaro before the operation. and then have it. And then that will be the end of my journey, hopefully, be the end of it. So I'm so excited. It has taken me like 4 years, 5 years to get where I need to get to, but I can't do it all at once, stage by stage by stage. That's all I can tell everybody. Just do it by stages, think where you need to get to, and also definitely have a look at what weight loss does to your body.
Hmm.
That is another big thing. You're not going to notice yourself. Yeah, you are going to have saggy skin. This
Hmm.
is something that you kind of need to accept. The only reason I accept that is because when I had the bariatric surgery, the surgeon said you are going to have loose skin. You are going to have loose skin. The only way you're going to get rid of that is by getting it removed.
Hmm.
So I knew that from day one,
Yeah.
this is going to happen. So it's having that planning stage.
Yeah.
And then after my plastic surgery, that'll be me all done, hopefully. And I can live a happy life and go on lots of holidays with my new body.
In your bikini and show it off. All I can really say is thank you so much for sharing your story with us all and the world, essentially. I know how tough it is for you, even talking about like your weight loss and stuff and all that there. So this is such a massive thing for you. I know it is, and I don't know what to say other than thank you, Kirsty. Thank you. You are a force to be reckoned with. And yes, you should be so proud of where you've come on this journey. And you hit the nail on the head there and something you said, and it was this is a journey, and it really, really is a journey. So thank you. And yeah, over and out, guys.